Hailing Figweeks Open, and welcome to Star Trek. Where are we? So, welcome to Star Trek Discoverage, the live podcast that boldly goes into excruciating detail about this week's episode of Star Trek Picard. I'm your host, Aaron Coker, aka Caliban. And let's face it, we're the only Star Trek show with the gall to broadcast on May the 4th. Joining me on the show, as usual, is my co-host. She's also the co-host of the Generations Geek podcast, a more or less family-friendly celebration of geekdom. It's Ella Pearson. Ella, welcome back to Discoverage.
Thank you.
And back on the show tonight is my co-host on the Just Enough Trope podcast. She's also the co-host of the Sailor Noob podcast, and she is a frequent Enterprising Individuals and Discoverage guest. It's Mika Hana. Mika, welcome back to Discoverage.
Hello, thank you for having me.
It's great to have both of you here tonight, and we're here tonight to talk about not only the end of the third season of Star Trek Picard, but also Star Trek Picard as a whole, the project of Star Trek Picard, and our thoughts and feelings on it. And that's what we'll be doing tonight on the show. But first, how is everybody? Ella, how are you?
I'm pretty good. The weather here is so gorgeous.
It has been nice, yes.
I work from home, so I've been working like on the porch and spending time outside.
Lovely.
Yes.
Gorgeous.
Good. And Mika, how are you?
I'm doing okay. I will echo Ella's sentiment a little bit. Like I didn't really get a lunch break today because I had meetings. So I was like,
awesome.
I'm getting out and I'm taking a walk. And I did that and it was lovely. So you got to take time for yourself. You got to take breaks because people won't make time for you to take breaks. You just have to take them.
Yeah. I raked, seeded, and watered my lawn on this beautiful day.
Oh, fantastic.
Today. So, there's something about hard work, right? It's a vacation in itself.
Uh-huh.
So we'll see if that works, or the birds eat all the grass seed. But who knows? That's the circle of life.
Yes.
Much like the circle of Trek, which is what we're going to talk about today. Usually at this point in the show, we talk about the news in the world of Star Trek. And, since the airing of the finale, there hasn't been a ton of news, but there is something that we tried to talk about when we tried to do this episode before, and that is the announcement by Paramount and Star Trek that Star Trek Section 31 will be premiering hopefully next year, I believe, as the first in a series of Star Trek films. Basically, 90-minute, 2-hour films going directly to viewers on the Paramount Plus service. Thoughts about Section 31? We're finally getting it. Thoughts about Michelle Yeoh coming back. Thoughts about the idea of Star Trek films. What do you guys think?
I'm excited that Michelle Yeoh is actually coming back. I think I may have said this before. I can't remember if it was maybe not on this show, but I am surprised that she's coming back for a TV movie. Because she's gotten an Oscar now. So
yes,
like, why are you doing this, Michelle? You don't need to do this.
Yes.
But I'm happy that she is doing it because I love Michelle Yeoh, 1, and 2, I love Giorgio. So I'm excited. I hope they get do we know who's writing and directing it yet? Do we have any idea?
No.
Okay, well, I hope they get somebody good because I think that could make or break it.
There won't be anybody unless we get this strike figured out.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is very true.
Yeah.
But you know what? I say you got to give these writers like a living wage. How about that?
Yes.
And
we absolutely do.
I don't know, like, it's just frustrating the things that you hear organizations think that they can get away with, right?
Yeah. How that'll affect Star Trek, season 2 of Strange New Worlds is in the can, obviously. I don't know how this would affect an animated show. I would assume that the next season of Lower Decks is done and dusted at this point. I don't know where they're... I'm guessing that they're probably near to finish, if not finished, with Discovery as last season. So if this will delay the film, and we won't be seeing it next year, but maybe after that,
Right.
I don't know. But hopefully it'll be resolved soon. Ella, what'd you think about the news that Michelle Yeoh will be returning in Section 31, the movie?
I was pretty surprised. I mean, I thought after she did Everything Everywhere, I was like, okay, Michelle Yeoh is never going to be in Star Trek again. And like, I was fine with that because she's an amazing actress. And that movie was, and she deserves like the amount of attention she's been getting for Everything Everywhere is the amount of attention that she should have been getting for like a very long time. Not that she hasn't always been like, she's had a lot of success, but she's also worked like incredibly hard for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say my initial reaction was like, I had several friends when like just like talking about Everything Everywhere in conversation, I'd be like, oh, she's never coming back to Star Trek. And they'd be like, well, good for her. Like, well, she should not, like, and just kind of like make a comment like that. And so I was a little bit like, huh, seems like someone thinks Star Trek is still good enough for them.
Right. Yeah.
Which is like amazing. I hope that what happened is they gave her the idea or like an initial script or something, and she was like, yeah, this is amazing, I'll do it. So I hope it'll be really good.
Has she done TV? Has she done like a TV show? Because
well, Discovery, but that's streaming. I don't know if that's the same thing.
Well, she, did 4, 5, 6 episodes tops, like when she was there. Or in whatever season we saw the most of her. But it seems like even when she signed on originally, it was for a movie, basically, right? It was for the 2-part initial pilot. So
right.
I don't know, maybe this is just something that fits better for her. But at the same time, look, I don't think that anybody should be too good for Star Trek, but she's definitely too good for Paramount Plus. You know what I'm saying? So I think I think that this is probably the best fit for everybody. I would imagine, as busy as she is, and hopefully will continue to be, it was always a tough prospect to get her back for, an entire 10, 12, 13 episode show. And that's what has been holding this up this entire time. So if this is the solution that gets her back, that's fine. I think, moving on to the question of Star Trek films that are not feature films, not like theater films, but, are still film length. I hope that this, I don't know. I think that there's been an observation, by people who are paying attention, that the current crop of Star Trek shows feel like movies, both in terms of their aesthetic, in the terms of the storytelling, and like 10-hour movies. And so if I wonder, how their approach to making a film for their service will be, if it'll be like what we've got, only just like shorter, and therefore like maybe tighter in terms of storytelling, that could be a good thing. Part of me worries that as media changes, as we move on into this scary Chat GPT future, that we will continually find TV and entertainment like that, like less and less recognizable as what it was in days of yore. And, this is an old man talking about, these clouds aren't like they used to be. But yeah, I think that, I hope that they embrace this and use this movie format in a special way, in a way that's kind of, unique to Star Trek. Because, we've had 15 Star Trek films or so. I should know, I just did them all on the show. 13 Star Trek films. And people really like those films. Yeah. So I hope we can capture something like that. And especially something so unique as Section 31 and somebody so talented as Michelle Yeoh. No shade on William Shatner or Patrick Stewart or anyone else, but a real ass movie star in one of these things. It's certainly a unique opportunity. So,
I just had a thought while you're talking.
Don't think when I talk.
I know. I'm so sorry. I don't know that this is something they've never necessarily thought of, or this is their direction that they're going in. But what if you know, sometime between the end of DS9 and now, Bashir was tapped to be in Section 31 and he said yes. Like, will we see him in the movie? That would be cool. I just think that would be cool. I don't know if that's actually going to happen.
Will he travel 1,000 years into the future? Or,
oh, right.
I mean, when will it even be set, you know?
Right. Oh, but did she...
Yeah, but Section 31...
Oh, they've got time travel, sure.
Yeah.
They have to. I don't know. Is it too much to ask for them to sort of try to carve out another slice, like their own sort of territory in the universe of Star Trek? You know, Discovery's got the far future.
Mm-hmm.
You got the pre-TOS of Strange New Worlds, and Lower Decks is sort of like post TNG or the 90s and 2000s shows, and so
right.
I don't know where that would be. She's fighting Michelle Yeoh's fighting dinosaurs. You know, I don't know. or just take it out of the realm of the Federation and do something else with it.
I think that'd be cool too.
I mean, what's cool about this is they are untethered. They have a chance to be untethered from everything.
Correct.
And you don't have to satisfy, well, we got, 7 people who they're on the bridge. They have to be there every week, and so we have to satisfy that. Like, you can
everybody gets a line in this scene.
It's
okay?
Michelle Yeoh. It'd be great to see Tyler, come back. And other than that, a bunch of new characters, a whole new setting. Do something really, really crazy with it. So I don't know. Of course, you need writers for that. So let's get those writers back to work.
Yeah. Get them a good contract.
Or we can have Jenna Ortega come in and she'll just write everything for Did you see that?
No.
Oh, okay.
What was that?
No,
what did I miss?
Well, okay, so the writers are on strike.
Yes.
And right before they went on strike, Jenna Ortega, as the flavor of the day, there's some French word for that. I don't know what it is. Has been doing a lot of interviews. And I'm sure she's a perfectly nice person.
Sure.
But every human being, if Jesus hadn't been crucified, careful, he would have got canceled. He would have got canceled eventually. He would have said something dumb eventually, right? And so she said something.
They canceled him when they crucified him.
Right, but I'm saying
right there.
that was right, but that was political, right? Like he would have said something, they would have been like,
welcome
no,
to the
actually,
Jesus podcast.
They're throwing fish and bread at him. They've got so much fish and bread to throw. It's his fault, really. But she said something to the effect of like, I don't know about the writing on this Netflix series, these Netflix writers. And so sometimes they would I just start changing the lines and I'd be like, oh, I'm just going to do this. And then they say, cut. Hey, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, these lines, we got to do this. And so a lot of the WGA writers are tweeting stuff like, hey, come on down. We're waiting for you here at the picket line. We're all down here, all the writers.
Oh
so we'll hold a space for you. You should be down here since you're a writer and everything. So
wow.
Yeah. Anyway,
she was pushing back against the love triangle stuff too in the show. Like she was like, let's not do this.
Oh.
Which I feel like was.
I don't know anything about the show.
Fair. Oh.
Well, I mean, I think there's a time and a place for that sort of thing, right? And
well, here's the funny thing.
Yeah.
I support the efforts of the union writers.
Absolutely, 100%.
So shame on you,
Full
Jenna
stop.
Ortega.
Yeah.
Rewriting is writing. At the same time, I'm sure that the writing is absolutely terrible on Wednesday. So
I think she
so
made
I
a
also
huge,
support
I watched it, I liked
Jenna
it.
Ortega.
I think she made a huge improvement. Yeah, I think
It
it's
can be
maybe
both.
a bit unprofessional.
That's Ortega's thing. Why not both?
Yeah, the way she talks about it in interviews, but I think she probably made a huge difference in making that show a lot better.
All right, we're on board. We're Team Ortega then.
She should be in Star Trek. She should be in Starfleet Academy.
Yeah, she could be in that. Trying to think of well, let's cast it right now. Who's going to be in it?
Who are the young cadets?
Go.
Who are in it? I don't know. I don't know young actors.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's hard. I don't know young actors who are not already superstars, who would still do a streaming series on Paramount Plus.
Yes.
Jenna Ortega, I feel would be a good pick, but I can't think of anybody else who could play that age range who is also seems not unattainable to Paramount Plus.
Right.
Well, Paramount Plus is the home of Yellowstone, the biggest show on planet Earth. And Kevin Costner is a big movie star.
He's a young person.
Remember when Battle Angel Alita was on that Tribble episode?
Oh.
What's her name again? Rosa Salazar?
Yes.
I never saw it.
Bring her back in.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I mean, this is a movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
People are going to line up to work with Michelle Yeoh, so.
I had a thought too, like you're mentioning the shorts. Like, I think that I wish they had done more of those, because I think that now, not all of them, but I think a lot of them had like good ideas and were interesting, right? And there was a different format, as something we hadn't seen before.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think
it was kind of a big deal that Rainn Wilson was playing Harry Mudd.
Yeah.
And then.
Yeah, it was.
Well, unless you want to come to the 32nd century with us.
Right. Well.
So no more Harry Mudd.
That's true. You could do a Harry Mudd special. I don't know.
Put him on Strange New Worlds.
That's true. There you go. We can do that. But I mean, if they treat the movies like their own entities and like write them, not obviously not the same way they write the shorts, because those are a lot shorter, but don't treat them the same way that they treat a series, obviously. But I think, they need to be written as if they are. I almost feel like you need to write them as if they are going to. You're not thinking about, oh, this is a streaming movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think you need to think about this is going to be in somebody's home movie theater or something.
Yeah, I suppose. You need to we need pulse pounding, high octane action.
No. Okay.
Shuttlecraft at the line, engines revving. I live my
Pumping
life
in
a
time.
quarter light year at a time. Tom Paris in the Fast and the Furious Star Trek edition.
No.
It's all about family.
Stop.
You see that meme where it's like Tom Paris before the Delta Quadrant? It's like guy, like Elvis smoking a cigarette in a leather jacket.
Yeah.
And like Tom Paris in the Delta Quadrant. It's like a Muppet or something like that. It's like, ooh. So a real Star Trek badass. That's what we need. A real Jack Crusher type.
Yeah. Yeah. If you have to keep telling us that somebody is a badass like over and over again, then they're not a badass. Nobody had to say that Fonzie was a badass. He just was cool,
Get the Chat GPT working on putting Robert Duncan McNeil in the Fast and Furious movies and putting Vin Diesel in Star Trek Voyager. I want to see Vin Diesel turn into a lizard guy. Go,
oh my God.
pepperoni pizza. Yeah, that's what we need to see. So that's what this technology is for. Well, speaking of Jack Crusher and high-octane action, let's get into it, and let's talk about the finale episode of Star Trek Picard, an episode called The Last Generation. Hopefully that's not true. We're here to talk all about it. First, as always, a warning. If you haven't seen the episode, we're setting a course for the spoiler zone listeners, so we will be talking about spoilers in this episode. The official synopsis for The Last Generation is, in a desperate last stand, Jean-Luc Picard and generations of crews, both old and new, fight together to save the galaxy from the greatest threat that they've ever faced as the saga comes to a thrilling, epic conclusion. That is concise, and it speaks. I've written a lot of synopsi.
I think that's
They
right.
don't want to give anything away. There's nothing that they can really say. They're just like, check it out. And it was written and directed by Terry Matalas, this episode. There's no in-universe date, but obviously we're just continuing on. But we know that April 2401 is the time, Frontier Day. Also with a quick flash forward to 2402. Here's some facts about the episode. This is the second episode in the franchise total to have been fully written and directed by the exact same person. The first one was the original series episode, Elan of Troyes, which was written and directed by John Meredith Lucas, who was a former showrunner for season 2 of TOS, and then also wrote and then directed this episode in the third season, Elan of Troyes. He was scheduled to direct some other episodes in the third season. He did not get the chance to do that because Elan of Troyes went a day over budget.
Oh, I remember. I feel like we've talked about this at some point too.
And there's a longer story to it, but at that point, we were Fred Fragerberger was cutting the fat because NBC just did not really care about this show. We just want to keep it on. And yeah, so not his fault, but obviously he was a big contributor to what made TOS good in the TOS years. Tim Russ is back in this episode as the real Tuvok. And seriously, like, this guy, he graduated from Starfleet Academy like 108 years ago, you know, and he's only like Captain Tuvok. He can't be Admiral Tuvok.
Yeah, I don't know why he can't be Admiral Tuvok, honestly. I don't know why that's so far-reaching. Do we just want him to have a ship because of, like, the setting of the show?
Or is it if we saw this character...
Maybe he wanted the ship.
Oh, I mean, that could be.
Maybe.
Yeah,
like maybe Tuvok was like, oh, I'm not ready. I'm not that old yet. I'm not ready to settle down with an admiralship.
I mean, Kirk was reluctant to give up being captain for pretty much his entire life.
That's true. But that sort of defines him.
That's true.
And I liked the fact that even though it was part of it was a retreat for him because of his disillusionment with Starfleet, that Picard wasn't a captain or active, you know, when we met him. And Spock continued in service for a while, but then he's like, I don't need to do this forever. I live for 250 years or whatever. There's a lot of things I want to do. And he became an ambassador and then went to another universe on the Powerball or something. I don't remember. But the point is that I just imagine, like, you know, it's like Tim Russ is like, okay, I'm back. But like, it's his wife and his kids are out there somewhere. And they're like, like, do they ever see their dad? He's still in Starfleet 100 years. His wife is a Starfleet widow. So anyway, it's different for Vulcans. But this isn't the first series finale for much of the cast of the episode. This is Riker and Troy's third finale episode. If you acknowledge that These Are the Voyages exists and happened. It's up in the air as far as I'm concerned. Same for Worf. Seven and Tuvok have now appeared in 2 finales, and Picard, Beverly, and Geordi have appeared also in 2 series finales. And the quotation that Picard says at the end of this episode is a speech by Brutus and Julius Caesar to Cassius. Seems fitting for Jean-Luc Picard to go out speaking the kings and quoting Shakespeare. The quotation begins with, "There is a tide," and there is a Star Trek Discovery episode that we've talked about before on this show called "There is a Tide." It was the 12th episode of the 3rd season, the first part of the 2-part finale of season 3.
Discovery?
Of Discovery, yes.
Okay.
Which was they're solving they're getting the burn,
remember.
And they've got Sakal, and they're gonna get him up and get him out there.
Okay, all right.
Right?
Yeah, sure. Yes. That's what it was.
They're gonna throw the Wicked Witch into a computer and melt her. It's a good show. Let's talk about this episode.
The Wicked Witch,
The Last Generation. Poor Osira.
I know.
Although you can't really collectively bargain by yourself. So ultimately she was full of shit, right?
Yeah.
What'd you guys think of the episode? Don't all talk at once.
You go ahead, Ella. I'm collecting my thoughts.
I liked it. I was happy to, for me, after sort of the ride that Picard has become, I was happy to have the episode with everyone on the bridge, and miraculously they're on the Enterprise D. Like it felt like a good ending. It felt like something that we've been waiting for a while, and yeah, I think it was good. I feel like maybe Picard got some more closure, like with the Borg. I feel like his character is so tortured by that within himself and by others that I feel like it was good to have him be like, no.
I'll say that I'm not sure that I'm still sold on this whole treating a season like a really long movie and having kind of similar beats to what you'd see in a movie. But I think that Picard probably did it the best as far as that approach goes. You know, I was just talking about like the ending of Discovery season 3, which I thought tried to also functioned like a movie. Michael's, fighting the Wicked Witch, and Book is, throwing the guy out of the magic elevator.
Right.
See you at the party, Richter. And it's got this, and there's a ship. The ships are fighting, and it's like a kind of a filmic climax. I think that this, of all the new Star Trek finales that I've seen, this is probably the most successful in that way, at least as far as I was concerned, because you got the ships like flying through the May the 4th. We see the Star Wars parallels, but at this point, like
it's there.
Sci-fi is sci-fi. Like, what are you gonna do? Yeah, but yeah, like it did feel suitably epic. I thought. I think that it was successful in that way. Mika, what'd you think? Ella, we'll come back to you. Mika, what'd you think?
I thought it was suitably epic. I'm going to agree with you on that. And then I just I did like that everybody was together and working together. I wish they had been together for more of the series as a team than they were. And like, I get like ending with poker, and I understand why that happened, and I'm fine with that. I kind of just wanted it to be different from how like the series ended. But that's just me.
Not the senior singles mixer sort of vibe of the
right.
Yeah.
Right. So
I'm warming to Data 2.0.
Yeah.
I thought the circumstances of how they brought Data back after they spent so much time convincing us it was okay that he was dead.
Right.
I don't know. The longer, and we've had him for a couple episodes, the longer it went on, the more it kind of worked for me. And if this is a film or is structured like a film, it fit more with the kind of Data-esque beats that we got from the next gen movies. Like the instead of we're not going to see him fight for his existence or try to date somebody or do like the classic Data plots, but he's there for like the joke or a little extra kind of juice, a little Data bit, the thing where he's flying this incredibly dangerous mission, and Troy's like, who's having fun? And you cut to him, he's like, that's a Generations, that's a TNG movie bit. Like, I think that worked a lot better for me than dragging Elton Soon out again.
Yeah, I know.
Hey everybody, I don't know, I just made a crazy robot. It's Brent Spiner's back. Enjoy. It's like, okay, whatever. He's back. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure that any of this was a good idea, but I think that they went out exactly, doing exactly what they said they were going to do, getting everybody back together. What the hell? It's the Borg. And what the hell? Right. It's the voice of Alice Krieg as the Borg Queen.
I know.
Does this make sense? I don't know, but this is what you came to see. So, gosh darn it, you're getting it.
I think also, and like, this ties in maybe to what you're saying earlier about like, I don't know if like the idea of like it's basically a movie, but it's 3 seasons, 3 movies with 3 seasons instead. I think that whatever difficulties they had behind the scenes, like in the writer's room and in like a Paramount Plus corporate or whatever happened to have the showrunner change every season and like all the sort of just like changes that happened there, I think ended up being really palpable in the show and by the audience, which is unfortunate because I think that in and of itself made it feel a lot more disconnected than it should have. Because every season feels so different, is so different.
I agree with you.
It seems wildly like suddenly whatever, the Borg, and now we're on the Enterprise D because like I think as season 1, that's not at all the direction I think that they wanted to head or were heading, is like everybody on the Enterprise D again. This is so good. But this is great stuff. Shit happens.
But save this. We'll talk about the structure of the show as a whole.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Good comments on that though. But let's just finish up talking about The Last Generation. Any specific things that you wanted to call out? I'll start. I'll throw out Jack Crusher. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Ultimately, just a linchpin. Excuse me, to bring the mommy and daddy of the last generation
Right.
together, or successful as a character. Want to see more from him. What do you think about Jack Crusher?
I have notes.
Okay.
So I'm gonna be honest. I don't care for Jack. I love these
I love
characters.
all these characters equally.
Yes.
I don't care for Jack.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was doing. So like I love these characters.
Why is he wearing gloves?
These characters. Yeah, exactly.
And serving us, avocados or whatever it is.
But I think so if we're gonna have this character, right, and you need to make us care about him more as an audience, and I think you need to integrate him more into this in a more interesting way into the story, right? And
for me, he's like Rafi 2.0, because Rafi and Michelle Hurd, they're not going to. Actually, I mean, everybody that they got rid of is pretty good, but they're not getting rid of her. She's probably the real gem. I'd be really and then having Seven come back, but we all love Seven,
of course.
Not having Michelle Hurd in something going forward would be a real shame, I think. But just kind of underserved by this episode, this season, this series, and having her just kind of do stuff to fill out the 10 hours. And having Jack Crusher kind of in a similar thing where he's really important, but all right, Junior, the old people are going to show you how it's done.
Right.
You could have just done 6 episodes and just had a lot more of the old people. But as we've talked about before, that's just not how these things go.
But I think because if you're going to have him, have all these Borg parts and he has the Borg Queen's voice in his head. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And be you are the conduit for the Borg or whatever. Okay, all right, great. Well, you have Seven right here. This is ripe for storytelling.
Seven too old now.
No. I'm not suggesting a love match.
No, but she's right.
She's too old
to
have her in the story?
She's only old enough. She's like, oh, they're like, Seven, you okay? She's like, hot flash, don't worry about it. I'm too old for this now.
So she can't
remember,
sense
it's
the
only
Borg?
the young people can be part of this.
No, I think that she should have sensed something with Jack, because usually she can sense the Borg.
We're not tracking it. We're not tracking any of that.
Come on. And then maybe he could, and on the same note as that, maybe he also just would naturally feel a kinship with her, even though he didn't know her that well, because he's got Borg parts, and we're talking the Borg, and
that makes
you like
so
red
much
vines?
sense. I never thought about that.
Right, and then maybe he just feels like he can talk to her and tell her things. Maybe he feels like he can confide in her more than his own mother. And then you have some more storytelling beats you could get into.
That's not. We don't care about any of that.
I'm just
no,
saying.
I think that makes so much sense. That makes sense. I think that's such a good criticism, and also because what was the point of him flirting with one of Geordi's daughters? Replace all of that with him with what you're saying about Seven, and that makes way more sense.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if we could just rewrite the entire thing, if we just want to do that.
And
that's what I'm talking
but
about.
I don't
respectfully.
I don't think that
we all know that it needed some work.
I don't think that was a priority for them. I think that ultimately he was a device to bring Picard and Crusher back together.
I know.
To if we had done after MASH 10, 15 years after it went off, then maybe you could explain it. But it's a way to create a history between these two characters who we just have not done anything with or seen for 20 years. So, but yeah, I don't know. I just didn't. My issue with him was that he just wasn't. He wasn't. Well, I guess you said this, Mika. He just wasn't that interesting.
Well, I mean, make me care
and
about
having it be
him.
oh boy, he's kind of a badass. He's kind of a Han Solo. It's the newest generation of Trek, so to speak, is lousy with I don't know about these characters. they wear leather jackets, and that might be real leather, not replicated leather. So how does he stand out from
Let's
that
not go that
crowd?
far.
And
Yeah, right.
so yeah, I don't know. I mean, the actor's fine. I've got no problem with the actor, but maybe we'll have an opportunity to see him do something in the future. Have we talked about, or maybe this is a good place to talk about it? What do you guys think about the prospect of a show featuring the characters that they have kind of grouped together, the true next generation, at the end of this episode? What do you think about a show, let's say, Star Trek, Legacy, maybe? Which is the worst title. If you look, I have my own issues about the idea of Star Trek Legacy, but don't call it Star Trek Legacy. Come on.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about that?
Doing
A Picard season 4 asterisk. Because I'll tell you right now. Here's the bed of rice.
Yeah.
You put the sesame chicken on top of it.
Okay.
There's a petition out now on the internet.
Of course.
That has more signatures than, I don't know, whatever the last Trek petition was. Like, the fans want this.
Uh-huh.
So what do you think?
I say that if we're going to do that, then, first of all, I guess I kind of worry about, like, is Patrick Stewart up for that?
No, he's not. It's not. No. Listen.
Okay, I'm listening.
You don't understand what's going on here.
No, I don't.
Captain Seven, First Officer Raffi.
Okay.
Jack is a counselor or something. What? Like, the third seat is there's just a third seat there. It doesn't have to be like a counselor sitting there. Whatever. Geordie Jr. Maybe both Geordie Juniors. Chia Head. All of those great characters that we love. I'm just a cook guy. He's there. Star Trek Legacy on the Enterprise.
Honestly, I'm not super excited.
Sign this petition. Sign it.
I'm not super excited about it, if I'm honest. I'm sorry.
Why not?
I love
Why
Seven.
not?
I love Seven. I love the idea that she's a captain now. I think that's really cool, and I think that that's earned. Mm-hmm. It's the rest of it that doesn't work. Like, nothing against Michelle Hurd. I have nothing against her or Raffi. I just felt like they didn't. This entire season, this past season, like, her and Seven were apart most of the season. The season starts, they're not together anymore. We do not see them, interacting in any way, trying to reconcile. We don't see either one of them reaching out. So it's, like, hard for me to believe that she would bring Raffi on as... Yeah, but maybe I'm thinking about it too much.
Well, she's a good and experienced first officer, but you're right. There certainly is a history between these two characters that we would want to explore.
Right.
But
and
see,
are they dating again, or are they?
But that's not. That's never what
working
was
together.
Well, I mean, I wanted that to be on offer, but I don't think that was ever on offer.
Yeah.
Here's what's on offer. And it's Jonathan Frakes. Oh, he's gonna sit weird on something. Oh, Brett Spiner's he's playing 5 different characters, you guys, but in one body.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Always reaching for a mask. Don't put that mask on.
Yeah. No mask.
So that was never. I don't know. Ella, what do you think about a Star Trek Legacy?
I'm tired. And
that's a good response.
I mean, even just talking about Seven and Raffi, they never had chemistry on screen for me.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and I don't know. I hate to talk about the actors, whatever, but it seemed like they never had chemistry on screen. If you're gonna have a couple, and I think especially a queer couple on screen, it's like
one of them should be queer.
It was pretty annoying to me for them to have, like, negative chemistry when they were together. Like, and the idea, even just that part of it, the idea of watching a show where they're in the same room is, like, it feels annoying.
I don't know if this is a function of the way that we just write characters on TV and on Star Trek today, or if it's a function of the the conception of Seven and the way that we conceive Raffi as a character. But they're just very similar as characters. You know, they're both like, I don't want any of that. Like they're both just sort of like do it their own way, you know, maverick kind of characters. And like if the journey of Seven, they introduced Seven, and I feel like we just haven't developed Seven as, you know, why is Seven the way she is? Because before she was like, fun will commence. And I guess the idea was always, the idea was always she would one day be more, you know, quote unquote normal. I'm using that, you
more,
know,
quote
very
unquote
broadly,
human.
more human.
Yeah.
But there's always going to be part of her that this is how she is. You know, there is an identity to Seven of Nine. That's why she has a number for a name. That's who she is. She's integrating that part of herself. And they make a big deal out of, you know, her not being dead named in this series. But like, she's kind of indistinguishable from all the other characters in the terms of like, well, here we go. Like, she's not. I expected at one point the way that she acts with stuff is she's still gonna be Seven. She's still gonna, you know, yell at Naomi Wildman or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like, what is Seven's character? What is Raffi's character outside of? You guys remember that there's a scene where a guy makes her do drugs? That was in this season. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah, she breaks her sobriety.
Remember that?
That was awful.
Yeah. Why would we ever write a scene like that and then just go, hey, there's more old people are here. Come on in. We got a space shuffleboard starting soon.
Hey, Worf is going to cut some guys' heads off.
Worf cut a lot of heads off to have it all end up with he fell asleep. He fell asleep.
I know.
Space shuffleboard
blood
is
all
starting
over
soon.
his costume. He's just dozing in the
God.
chair, Bernie Sanders style.
Yeah.
Once again, I'm asking you to use Neutrogena T-gel.
Why did they make Worf the butt of a lot of the jokes this season? I mean,
that's movie Worf.
Because Michael Dorn is funny.
Movie Worf.
Funny.
Movie Worf is
He's
a joke
funny.
machine. No, he is. Oh, he's hilarious.
Yeah.
But that's
The way that he is funny.
That's what we do with
And
Worf.
I think sometimes it's not like it's not a bit.
No.
Like,
in real
there
life,
was, like-
he's very funny in real life. But
Well, and there was like one year where I saw both him and Marina Sirtis at like 3 different conventions, like in the same year together, and I was like, which them together is hilarious, but just him alone, he's hysterical.
yeah, but there's just nothing. You know, he's getting pimples or whatever. Like they just don't know
Yeah,
what
I
to do with
know.
him in movies.
in the movies.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think that all fits. And the antidote to that was to give him this little runner with Raffi where he's, you know, doing spy stuff, which is just so Worf. I don't know.
I liked that he was like, you know, a badass, but yet he was meditating. I liked that part of it, you know, and I liked, I think they gave him a cool look for this season, you know?
Yeah.
I thought Worf was cool until he, you know,
Hey,
fell
Worf
asleep.
is cool. And then he fell asleep on the couch.
Yeah.
Haha,
Smart.
old.
Yeah, exactly.
Haha, old.
Well, it seems like we're already heading in this direction. So let's talk, you know, a little more broadly about season 3 as a whole. Or should we talk about season 1 and 2? Do you guys have anything to say about season 1 and 2? Oh, Ella was making the point before that. Let me summarize your point. When they sat down and went,
Oh, please.
when Alice Kurtzman's like, "What's up, everybody? I got a big surprise for you. Open those holodeck doors, and here comes Patrick Stewart in his best Hanes t-shirt. He's going to tell this 50th anniversary crowd that Jean-Luc Picard is back." The plan couldn't have been what we got.
I forgot I was wearing mascara.
The plan is not what we got, right? We got something
think
different
so.
than if there was, insofar as there was a plan, we got something different.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a map at first, and the
Right.
map was here, and then a lot happened, and
we left the map.
And then through the map really quick, but
we went back in time. We came back.
We went back in time. There's no map anymore.
We left what's his name back there. I can't think of his name because he stayed. Oh my God. So
I have to confess that if you ask me like who show ran Roseanne seasons 3 to 7 or something, like, sure. I don't know. Like right. The only thing I know about running a TV show mostly comes from what I know about how Star Trek was shot and made. And like Star Trek obviously started as a show that is from the mind of one man, the vision of one guy. And I think that through the traditional Next Generation and this, the Berman era Trek, there's a reason it's a Berman era, right? Because there's one guy who's like kind of at the top of the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And that's more or less continued now, kind of, with Alex Kurtzman. But I think, as we've discussed, has Alex Kurtzman ever said no to anything?
Not that we've
It
heard.
Seems like they'll make a show out of anything.
Though. I do love the attitude. Like, I love him being like, yes, I would love to do that, and I would love to do this. Yes,
he's a yes and executive
so
producer.
Passionate, and I love that about him.
And so, do you guys think that even from the starting blocks of this entire edifice here, Discovery season 1, we've got a guy who is like, no thanks, and he leaves, and it's like, oh, okay, already we're changing the plan. Mm-hmm. And so Discovery is like this show that goes from an anthology show to a show that is slotted in the sort of pre-TOS, kind of new frontier era. Then we go through a couple of showrunners there for reasons that are not creative necessarily.
Right.
Then it's like, screw it. What if it's in the future? And then we take it to the future after taking a detour into nostalgia and setting up, some new avenues, Pike and Spock and yada, yada, so on and so forth. And, at this point, Lower Decks is the easiest thing to make. You like Star Trek TNG? We do too. Here's some cartoons. Right. And then we go, Star Trek Picard, let's do this. We have Pulitzer Prize winning author Michael Chabon to do this thing. And he writes a whole lot of fan fiction, and he's got a really long blog and a Medium and a Substack about what he's going to do on this show.
Right.
Do you think that was like too much for the powers that be, who are like, we don't need we just need like more pew pew and more classic cameos from people? Like, what is all this crap? You're not writing a role-playing game supplement book here. Like, what are you doing? You think that's why that, we kind of went away from that? I mean, obviously he wanted to also develop, other things like his Cavalier and Clay show, which we still haven't seen. I don't know if that's going to happen now, but it seemed like we went away from that.
I don't know if it was too much for the powers that be who run Trek, but I almost would argue that it was like too much for a TV series or a streaming series. I mean, clearly he had way too much stuff that he wanted to stuff into this show, and I think it's fine to be that creative and everything and have all these ideas, but you need to, and obviously he did pare it down, right? But I do also think there was a lot of stuff happening in season 1. And I don't think that was like a bad thing, but it was just like, I mean, I think you've mentioned before, Cal, like we end with like tentacle monsters in space, and like we started with Geordi's on the gold
robot planet.
Yeah.
With the flower starships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Star Trek.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, okay.
Yeah.
We started at point A and we ended up at point B.
We ended up at point ZX275. Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, there's no reason that you can't tell whatever kind of story that you want to in Star Trek. But yeah, it seems like, whoa, we got off the map here. Mm-hmm. So that's all well and good. Then we get Akiva Goldsman, Mr. Excitement, to be involved and run season 2. Mm-hmm. And we end up getting, what did we get?
What did we get?
Alison Pill singing a song. and we got her eating car batteries.
Yeah.
And we got Guinan. We got Guinan drinking a potion to summon Q.
That was interesting, wasn't it?
And like
I never thought I'd see that.
You know, whoever's in charge, that doesn't. It's all the same writers, probably, right?
Probably.
Or their interns. So, but it's still, the buck still stops somewhere, ostensibly, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was very much more, other than, and you know, Terry Matalas talks about season 3 being like his, I want to make a movie by referencing all other Star Trek movies.
Right.
But that had already started in season 2. Like we talked about the Star Trek 4 vibes of season 2, The Voyage Home. And so it becomes much more of like a general adventure show type thing. Do you guys watch Legends of Tomorrow? Or are you aware of Legends of Tomorrow?
I don't think I've ever.
Don't worry
really
about it. I don't watch it either. But it's the Arrowverse show that's like,
sure,
this kid's kind of doing his own thing, and it's like a bunch of like superheroes, but they travel through time, and it's like Quantum Leap for superheroes. Like every week they're in like, oh, we're in the 50s. Oh, we're doing the sock hop, and then they're gonna be like fighting dinosaurs, or they're gonna do something else.
Sure.
Whoa, I'm doing the sock hop.
Right. It felt like that to me. It's like, yeah. I mean, spaceships, yeah, right. But like, you know, what else do we got? And then some political commentary, and
yes.
you know,
for me, like the third season, like I remember or the second season, I remember liking the first couple of episodes. Like I was like, oh, this is really interesting. And then like, I don't know, like somewhere in the story, I kind of felt like the story got lost, and I'm like, I have no idea what is happening right now or why it's happening. Yeah, and I can't think of his name, but why did he want to stay? And like we're leaving a character behind, and like, okay, but and gosh, all right, they went to all that trouble to make Alison Pill the Borg Queen, and they didn't bring her back for this season.
Yeah, you know, Terry Matalas was a writer on season 2.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know who came up with Alison Pill, you know, becoming the new Borg Queen, but
yeah.
I don't know if Terry Matalas was on board for that.
Well, I mean, like I think you've talked about this before. Like sometimes, like the seasons, or we, you know, Ella was talking about earlier. They're so different. It's like we completely forget everything that already happened.
Did you guys feel, and this is a continuation of that thought, that they blew their shot at Q being the final adversary, you know, one more time by having him be in the second season? Like they did that thing with him in the second season with Picard, and my mother hung herself, and if they had just had the Borg make her hang herself instead, we could have had Q be. Sorry.
I mean, wow. I don't know why you're laughing right now.
I don't know. I'm laughing at the absurdity of what it is that we're talking about.
Well,
remember when there was a guy who was reading a paper and he's like, I'm the guardian of forever.
Yeah.
So anyway, there.
We can remember when
I had to reset
literally
myself
all night
with
with
another.
This show.
Yeah.
Because so many random things happen.
Because like maybe that's just too much. The Borg are in this because obviously if Jean-Luc Picard is going to have his last adventure, it's going to be against the Borg.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it's like, well, isn't like a space god tougher than the Borg? Isn't he like a bigger, more existential kind of thing?
No, God is weak.
God's like, oh, you pray to God, but then it's like a laser comes around. No, it's God's a Borg now.
What?
Forgiveness is futile. Weird, but not as weird as Picard season 1. So yeah, it's just like in the same way that, and you know, and Star Trek and sci-fi TV shows don't have to have like an overarching theme for everything they do, but in the way that you would say, and it's unfair to compare things to DS9 because DS9 is, you know, it's just really good. And it also was written by basically the same people for its entire run, so they were able to execute, you know, their vision. But it's a completely chaotic situation where everybody's hurt and broken, and then over 7 years, things get so much worse.
I know.
But then they get better.
Uh-huh.
And everybody's a family, and also Space Jesus and stuff. So it's good times. Do you think that we would be, because look, people like these shows. I mean, they're doing fine.
Mm-hmm.
But do you think that we would feel more satisfied in terms of aesthetically, I suppose, if they set out to say, well, we want to accomplish? Are they doing that? Do you think? Do you think they're saying, season 1, we'd like things to kind of be like this. Season 2, be like this. Do you think they have that kind of roadmap here, or do you think they're just like, we got another one. Now what do we do?
I think the latter, personally.
Yeah, because like
Yeah,
example,
I think...
like for like Discovery, when Burnham became captain, people were like, finally,
Mm-hmm.
the plan is going well, and I'm like, I never thought that she like wouldn't be captain someday, but
Right.
I never thought like the roadmap was like we're just waiting for her to be captain. You know,
No, I didn't think that either.
these are now we're at step 2 of the plan to make her captain. Like it's just like, well, now she's captain because this is another thing that we can do.
Uh-huh.
I think with a show that's only 3 seasons long, it was only ever going to be 3 seasons long. There was at some point a map, and the map has someone's like, no, there's actually an ocean here, and actually I built a highway from here to here, so we don't have to go this way because now there's an expressway. Like,
yeah, and these Borg have machine guns, and they're attacking your vineyard house.
and let's make sure that we have at least one scene where someone's singing.
And remember when
Yes.
Rios used one drone to knock out a bunch of other drones?
And what if Seven was a lesbian?
Uh-huh.
Bisexual?
Which I
Thank
think is
you.
good. Which is good.
Don't
No more bi erasure.
No space by erasure, please. Yeah, I don't know. Ask Taylor Sheridan where I don't know. I keep going to Yellowstone. Where Yellowstone is going, and
Because it's an easy target.
He'd probably
that's
break
why.
a whiskey bottle over your head and tell you to get lost.
Let's also make Picard a robot or put him in a robot
And then
body
completely
and
forget
then
that we
never
did that.
talk about it
Right, yeah.
ever again.
Yeah.
Like, why did we do that then?
Speaking of bodies, did they ever get his real body back?
I don't know.
Is there
I don't
a
understand,
scene?
and I'm afraid to ask.
I don't think so. And now I'm actually kind of worried. Now that you mentioned it, what happened?
No, I feel like so much of Picard.
We could have a weekend
I
at
feel
Jean-Luc's situation here.
Yeah.
that honestly, that meme that's like, I don't know who the McElroy brothers are, and at this point, I'm too afraid to ask. I'm like, at any given point in Picard, I'm like, I don't know what is going on right here, and at this point, I'm too afraid to ask. I'm gonna pretend like it makes sense.
Well, and then like, did we like finalize the plot with the changelings?
Remember when Picard
Like,
was
I
at
don't know.
TGI Fridays and those kids came up to him like,
Yes.
"Are you Jean-Luc Picard?" He's
Or
like,
TGI Fridays. Space
I'm eating
TGI
my
Fridays.
fish and chips.
Yes.
But then his kid was
We're-
there in a
we're
Marvel
asking
disguise, and his
who-
kid was like, "He's not eating his fish and chips. Screw this."
No, he had the Succession expensive baseball cap on.
That's right. Yeah, right. Yeah, he had the Succession disguise on.
Please. We're asking
Whew.
too many questions. The CBS Paramount, the body of Jean-Luc Picard is gonna assassinate us like Bucky Barnes.
It's been.
Oh my god. Oh my god, they're here right now.
Right. Yeah.
Quick, what's his wake word?
Jean-Luc. Who the hell is Jean-Luc? Yeah. It's been a long, crazy,
He's got a knife.
strange ride.
Oh my god, no. Oh, he's flipping and he's doing
a
tricks.
Fencing sword, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like,
Oh god! He's got a butterfly knife. He's going like this.
yeah, it's got a paintball mask on. Yeah, weird, crazy show, and I don't know, man. There's a lot of creativity,
Yes.
and
So many
there's
people
a
worked
lot.
so hard on this show, and I appreciate every single one of them.
And
And it
there's
was a joy to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of, yeah. Can you imagine if and I don't know how this would even work, but like, what if we were, so we're in a kind of like the opposite of what I call a supernatural situation, where a supernatural situation is like, whew, it's another vampire from Senegal or whatever, you know, it's like, they have to keep their every day, or an X-Files, I suppose would be an earlier generation's version, where it's like, oh boy, this is what a crazy thing we're doing now. Oh,
Mulder, I don't think
we're on W of Wikipedia's list of monsters, you guys. Come on. And so we've got that, but it's kind of like for things we can reference, you know, or call out or homage from earlier Star Trek. So it's like, oh yeah, Star Trek 4, we literally got the guy, you know, with the the stereo on the bus, and oh boy, what do you want to do Enterprise? We could, I guess. That's almost due now, right? To come back for a resurgence.
Right.
So okay, you know what? It's fitting. I've been saying this. People have asked me to stop saying this, but it is May the 4th.
Yes. The government has asked me to stop.
Yeah. Many lawyers have told me, not a good idea. But like, we've got a problem in Star Wars where, well, it's not necessarily a problem, but it's like, hey, an Obi-Wan show. Oh, are we going to find out that he learns that Darth Vader's alive and he sees him and he says like, maybe later I'll say, ooh, I haven't seen him in a while. You know, it's like just mining the past for these sort of obvious sort of plots.
Yeah.
But then you go, oh, it's cute Leia. All right, no, that's fine.
Right.
We've got that going on in Star Wars. There are a couple Star Wars things that are moving forward, but nothing that the biggest thing in Star Wars now is like, ooh, Grand Admiral Thrawn. Wow, a guy from a book that was written 30 years ago. Exciting. And like there was for a while a Dark Horse comic book that was, I think it was right around maybe when the prequels are coming out, or maybe just before, where they're like, we got to come up with something new. Like people are tired of Leia and Luke and all this stuff. What's new? So they came up with Star Wars. This should be the punchline, but it's Star Wars Legacy. Okay, that's what it was called. I should have saved that for the end. And it said 100 years after the films, right? So it's everybody's dead. You know, it's a
new characters.
Yes. And yes, something else has gone wrong in the galaxy, and some Empire-like force is there. And it stars Skywalker's like grandson, Luke Skywalker's grandson. His name is Cade, and he's kind of a badass.
No! Oh my god!
They combine Han Solo and Luke Skywalker. It's like he's got force powers, but he's like he doesn't shave much. This guy doesn't. He hasn't seen a razor. And he doesn't want any part of this like fight between good and evil and light and dark. It reminds me a lot of Jack Crusher.
Oh my god!
But he learns. Well, I mean, I see my point. I brought it up as a positive thing. They're trying to go forward. They're trying to like do something else. You know, they're trying to like reach literally the next generation. I think it's hilarious that the last episode of this is literally called The Last Generation, and we shouldn't be focused on the last generation. We should be focused on the next generation. So
what you're saying is the ending scene should have been the new, younger, Seven's crew playing
My
poker.
name is on that petition in pencil.
Okay.
I don't want it to be written by any of the people who wrote any of the previous seasons of Star Trek Picard.
Willing to make a commitment.
I want a brand new showrunner and brand new writers. But I do think that we should absolutely be going forward, and let's find out how Seven, because think about it. Think about like, what a stupid idea to have Captain Pike find out he's going to die in 10 years, and then we have to sit and watch him feel bad about that. But you know what? They're making it work on Star.
He's tortured,
whatever this show's called, Star Trek: Strange New Worlds.
Yeah.
But they're making something out of it. They're making hash out of it. So like, why not like Seven sits up bolt upright, you know, in her bed in her captain's quarters. She's soaked in sweat. You know, she's not over these traumatic memories. You know, she's not fully integrated as a person yet. Raffi, how does she deal with leaving Starfleet, coming back to Starfleet? How does she struggle with her sobriety? Create a character for Jack Crusher. Here's a challenge for you. Do anything with him.
Right.
I would absolutely be on board for that. But if it's just going to be a bunch of like,
yeah, right.
oh, a guy got a thing in his ear and he went, you know, like, no more of these references. Like, let's stop this. Yeah. Oh, Walter Koenig. That was pretty great, right?
Yeah, right? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Let's, no, we don't want to see him on screen, though. I mean, we got old people on screen, but...
well, we got George Takei and we've got Walter Koenig, so
yes. Let's
have some web shorts, some Sulu Chekhov adventures. You know, like in Star Trek 5 when they're like, you sure we're not lost? We're making good time. Like they're just doing wacky stuff together. They're hanging out, drinking space beer.
I like that. I think that could be fun. I don't know. I like the idea that they're shorts too. I don't know. Yeah, I'd be okay with. I can't believe they're calling it Star Trek Legacy. It sounds weird. I don't know.
Yeah, let's more Star Trek, less Legacy.
Yeah, let's change the title first of all, and maybe it's just a working title. That's fine. Get somebody else to write it. Make me care about the characters.
I just like
the characters different.
The idea of like there's a version of the Starfleet Academy show in my mind that is the space gossip girl. You know, I'm a legacy. You know, and like.
Give the people what they want.
Jumping in and out of bed, training crew's gone wrong, that sounds great. But the amount of times you hear somebody say, we are Starfleet, is going to go up threefold, like in that show, the way that they view it right now. And that does not excite me either.
No.
We got to get out of this.
Yeah.
Let's get out of this mold, break the mold, do something crazy.
Well, I agree. Like, just do something different.
Because unlike Marvel, the numbers keep going up for these Star Trek things.
Yeah.
And I think they will, as long as they're writing strong, you can do whatever you want. This won't be like, let's do Eternals. People are like, no, don't do Eternals. No. Okay, Ant-Man 3? Like, that,
right.
You don't have that problem. People are here for this stuff. They are watching
yes.
this. You have the license to experiment. And yes, they love seeing the Enterprise D again. They love seeing all these, nostalgic things at the Eagle Moss station. But, like, you can do literally whatever you want. Do it. That's my mandate. Make it so. And I'll shave my head.
Oh, you'll shave your head?
To make that point.
Oh, okay.
Just the top part.
Leave the sides.
We've talked before, I think, Ella, about how you like TNG, but you're not like, you haven't seen all of TNG. It's not like you're the biggest TNG fan, right?
I think it's the series I've seen the least. I think I've seen it all the way through one time. Mm-hmm. I guess the only other series that I have only seen all the way through one time is Enterprise.
Okay.
And I haven't rewatched Enterprise really.
Mm-hmm.
And so besides Enterprise, which to be fair has a lot less episodes, I've rewatched many episodes of The Next Generation. But yeah, I wouldn't, I'm not like when someone's like, who's your favorite? What's your top? What's your favorite? Like, what do I start with? What's the best?
Oh.
I never gravitate towards Next Gen. I love it. Or like, it's Star Trek. It reminds me of being a kid and like ordering pizza with my dad and getting to watch Next Generation. But it's not like, it's just like, for me, it's not like at the top if I was forced to,
Well, that being said, who's your favorite TNG? I, in so much as I prepared anything, I prepared a bit of a segment here for the end of the show.
Oh.
Where and I'm sure this will never be true. There'll be animated, TNG babies next, announced by Alex Kurtzman because somebody cornered him in an elevator. But
TNG babies.
But that being said, what if we, they drink in 10 forward. What if we went 10 backwards?
Oh.
And look, but we don't want to do 10. Let's do 5 backwards. And look back at TNG and talked about, let's engage with our memories of The Next Generation. What is your favorite TNG character, Mika?
God. That is really hard. I think Picard is probably overall my favorite. Just because I love Picard. I love him as a captain. If he was my captain, I would incredibly respect him and willingly follow him into battle. This guy knows what he's doing. He knows how to work with his crew and also to, you know, say some words to give some encouragement and get everybody fired up for whatever they need to do. But if I had to pick a second character that's not the captain, I think I would pick Worf. I just think he's really interesting, and I think he changes a lot over the course of TNG. And I think, you know, we see a lot of character growth for him. Like he kind of starts, and he's a little bit more in the background first season, but he's got, you know, yes, he is a Klingon, but he's working through his anger and that sort of thing, and he's got a lot of things from his past, and like I think you see some really interesting things come up for him with his past and stuff like that too. And then of course you get to follow him into DS9, which is also cool, but still TNG Worf.
Yeah.
That's what I'd say.
You know, a lot of people came through the doors of TNG, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's interesting how, you know, outliers like Q aside.
I mean, Q's great too.
A lot of the guest stars don't. A later series, I think, would have guest star. Like DS9 definitely would have guest stars who essentially became main cast members. Or like when they showed up again, you're like, oh, it's this guy. It's going to be one of these episodes.
Yes.
And that's not necessarily true. A lot of the people in TNG are one-offs. You know, they don't. We don't see them again other than people like Q. So,
right.
Ella, do you have a favorite TNG character?
Oh, Data.
Data?
No hesitation. Yeah. 100% all in.
Yeah.
Data's really good too.
Not Data 2.0.
No.
No hesitation there either.
Data.
No hesitation, no.
Data GPT.
That guy. Data GPT. I mean, he was funny, but that's not Data. That's
True.
Something new. That's not Data or lore. That's something new.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think my favorite TNG character is Timicin, the character played by David Ogden Stiers in the episode Half a Life. No, it's probably Picard. He's not my favorite captain, but I think he's just such a unique and it's like Spock. Like there's just no other sci-fi universe where you can have a character like Spock. And a character like who just like is reading a book and drinking tea, and then he's out, wrestling with robot gods and telling them to shoot the torpedoes and making a speech to keep the Red Scare from happening. It's like there's no other universe where that can exist. So yeah, definitely Picard. Is there a favorite episode that you have? And it's totally valid to go the one where the exocomps play poker or whatever it is, if you don't remember the title of the episode.
So I guess this goes off of me liking Worf, but I really like I think I rewatched it recently, but I really like Sins of the Father.
Okay.
What?
I was gonna say, the cowboy one?
Is it about his son?
Were they in the Old West town?
No, not the cowboy one. No, it's the one where
Worf has to return to Kronos and face his the accusations made by the Duras family about his father's betrayal.
Yeah, and his
Empire.
brother's in it, and he
Kern.
Yeah, and he didn't realize he had a brother. And at first, the first half of the episode it's kind of different.
It's like The Simpsons. It's a different episode.
It's like a different episode, so it's kind of like a twofer because the first part of
it's
the
a workplace
episode,
comedy.
Yeah.
Who is this transfer? Who is this guy?
I know.
He doesn't like our burned bird meat?
Yeah, right, exactly. Like, so there, there's this Klingon who's there who wants to be on the Enterprise, and Worf doesn't know who he is, and he's like really nice to Worf, but that's like so insulting to a Klingon.
That's the worst thing you could do. Yeah. He's like, I almost killed Geordi in the elevator. Oh, Worf, you're doing such a great job. Yeah. Yeah.
So.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kempek is... I like Kempek, the Klingon Chancellor. Ella, do you have a favorite TNG episode?
I think I'm gonna go for now, and again, my memory of the entire show, all of the seasons, is hazy. I think I'm gonna have to go for the Robin Hood episode, maybe.
Oh, Cupid.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. And then I was thinking about the Sherlock Holmes episode, Data, which is also really, really good, but something about that Robin Hood episode, and maybe it was just like, for me personally as a kid, I loved Robin Hood and I loved Star Trek. And so I watched that episode and I was like, oh my god, like, it was big. I used to watch reruns of the old BBC, like Robin Hood, like black and white, at my grandma's.
Nice.
And so I feel like maybe that's like specific to me, but I think I might have to go for that one until the next time I rewatch. When I do the full rewatch, then maybe I would have a different episode.
I also love Robin Hood. I still love Robin Hood. Like, Disney's Robin Hood is like my favorite Disney movie.
I've like never seen it, the cartoon. Really? I never saw it. I'd never. No, I didn't watch the like cartoon. Wasn't watching like normal kids movies when I was a kid. And I was like, yeah, here's Lord of the Rings in the 4th grade. I was like, yeah.
Well, Lord of the Rings is fantastic, but I mean, no shade there, but you should watch it. If you like Robin Hood, you should watch it. I think it's really good still. So,
talking about the Ralph Bakshi Lord of the Rings, the cartoon.
No, I was talking about the live action.
I think she was talking about the live action one too.
Oh,
I mean, I certainly was watching
when
The
I was
Hobbit.
a kid. Right, that means something different. Right, okay. Sorry.
I certainly was born only. I was 4 when the Fellowship came out, so I was watching that. Yeah.
Indiana Jones. Wow. My favorite TNG episode, and it rotates daily. Today it's Darmok. Because
that's a good one.
Again, for the same reason, there's just literally, you can't do that in any other sci-fi universe. It's completely impossible. That is a Star Trek episode through and through. And Paul Winfield, just a fantastic actor, who just went, look, I don't know if David Ogden Stiers came in and went, I don't have these things on my face, and didn't like what he had to do, but like, I don't know how Paul Winfield felt about it, but he came in and he's like, yes, I'm a weird pig man who goes shaka, and I'm going to do it to the hilt. I'm going to do the whole thing, and just really makes you believe it, and makes it work. Mm-hmm. So I have a theory that there are good individual villains. There are no good, like, lasting villains outside of maybe the Borg. In Star Trek, but is there a favorite TNG villain that you have? I think there's good single-serving bad guys.
I mean, if we go anti-hero, then Q.
That's what I was going to say.
Q's an anti-hero?
I mean...
Q's like...
A little bit.
I don't know about that. Yeah.
I don't know if you know about this, but he's a bit of a badass.
Yeah, right.
He's just like Loki for real.
Right?
Okay, yeah. He's a good one.
I feel like a lot of the other bad guys, like, just because they are single serving, like, they don't stay in my memory for long enough,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Duras sisters, I remember them,
but that's a good one. Yeah.
But like, they're not necessarily evil. They're kind of like, I mean,
if they had known how we would be looking back in 30 years and reusing all this stuff, they never would have killed them in generations. They're like, are you crazy? We're not killing any of these people.
Right?
They have to keep coming back forever. Yeah. Favorite villain from TNG, Ella?
Oh, I definitely Q. I mean, maybe like Moriarty was super fun.
Yes.
But like, I love Q.
Well, that's a good answer. See, I don't really consider him to be a villain.
I mean,
but I suppose he serves the role of antagonist, though.
Yeah,
often.
that's what I meant. Not anti-hero.
Yeah.
I meant antagonist. I said the wrong thing.
My favorite. No, but that's what
No, I
I
think
said
they're
villain.
both right.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, right.
I think it works. I think going off of what I'd said earlier about like the sort of single serving, bad guys, antagonists in episodes, I think my favorite is Kivas Fajo from the episode The Most Toys. He's the guy who kidnaps Data and then won't let him out of this thing. And it's...
Yeah, I hate that guy.
The reason is because he's not... Like, the Klingons are the villains, but... Not really, right? They've got their own thing. Their values are different than the Federation's values, but we want to respect them, and eventually we learn to sort of like live with them, and they learn from us, and Star Trek crap, right? Mm-hmm. But Kivas Fajo is just like, I don't know what universe he comes from, but he is just the most like selfish, like greedy person that you've ever seen on this show, to the point that he like kills his own subordinate, in order to like threaten and Data, and he knows Data's sentient. That's why he wants him. He is just keeping him. It's 12 years of Data. You know what I mean? Like he's just keeping this guy. He's going to do whatever he can, to the point where and there's this dumb line in this most recent season of Picard where he's like, "Oh, my ethical subroutines won't let me kill anybody." That's not true, because in The Most Toys, Data's like, "I've done the math and I got to kill you. You're going to do this again? I got to stop you before this happens again." So even Data was like, this guy's got to go. And for me, that's good enough for me. Like, that's the worst person in the universe.
Yeah.
But we had a fun cameo from one of those aliens in Lower Decks, so it's awesome. What about your favorite creature from TNG?
Like favorite alien?
Sure.
Or...
Alien, creature.
Wow. I mean, I really like the Borg and TNG. Like, I wasn't all Borged out at that point, So, I'm not saying that I'm Borged out now, but again, like we talked about, like...
What if they were hiding in Jupiter's Great Red Spot? Which,
well,
by the way, it's like 400 years later. Like, the Great Red Spot is like a storm, right? I mean, we don't know that it's going to, be around in 400 years. We don't know that it won't, but they're taking a hard bet that that's a classic Jupiter in the future. I don't know, whatever.
Well, in their Star Trek universe,
yeah, in the Star Trek
there.
universe, Universe 818,
where Picard is always fighting the Borg, even when he's retired. But like the Borg were, they were really scary. You didn't know what these guys were capable of, and they didn't seem like they cared. Well, they didn't care, and they just wanted to take the best parts of you.
They show up all the time, and they still are scary. It's only, I think, most recently I wasn't really scared of them. But even on Voyager, where, Janeway and Tuvok and B'Elanna are all getting assimilated, and you're like, and that the Doctor is just going to go, wing, 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 all right, you're fine again. Like, there's no real threat. They still, when they show up, it's like, it's the Borg. Yeah, it works. Mm-hmm. Ella, do you have a favorite creature or alien from TNG?
I mean, nothing comes to mind. Well, there's so many aliens. Nothing really is coming to mind. I feel like for, like, the original series, I'm like, oh, like the Horta. I feel like those creatures, like the creatures from the original series, like really stand out in my mind.
Yeah.
And, like, nothing is coming to me.
Well, I'll give you my favorite is Armus from Skin of Evil.
Remind me who that is again.
He is the living oil slick that kills Tasha Yar.
Oh no.
The trash bag guy.
Oh my god.
It's a very 60s sci-fi thing. It's very weird. It's the kind of thing the show would never ever really go back to, but I just think it's weird, and it's another example very early in the series to have, because what would Kirk would have talked Armus into killing himself or something like that, or just had Scotty shoot the main phaser banks and blow up the whole area. But Picard just beams down there and is like, all right, you want to talk? Let's talk. And he doesn't like help the guy. He basically negs the guy until the guy's like, oh, I'm terrible. And he's like, that's right, you are terrible. We're out of here. Picard out.
Oh my God.
And he just like breaks the guy down and they just leave. And so good stuff. And he was in Lower Decks too, so that's great. And if I had a runner-up, it'd be the four-armed lady that plays the pianos in that bar that Worf goes to. She was great. Milota. How about a favorite TNG guest star?
I'm so bad.
And guest star could be like
things.
recurring, like John Delancey would be a guest star.
Oh, well, John Delancey.
I was trying to feed you one.
I know you're not. Oh, gosh.
DeForest Kelly.
There you go. Yeah.
Wow.
James Doohan.
Yeah, I was thinking about him too. I remember
No
when
bloody
Scotty comes.
E or F or G. Enterprise G. Oh, God.
Oh.
Come back to you. Ella.
I mean, DeForest Kelly.
Oh, DeForest Kelly. Okay, never mind.
He's in that. He's in
What about
that.
you?
That's in an episode, right? It's not in a movie. It's in,
Yeah.
It's in an episode,
Yeah,
right?
that's in
Okay.
the...
Yeah, I think that's it. If I'm not going to say John Delancey, DeForest Kelly.
Yeah, if I can't say John Delancey. Okay. You know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna say it.
You crazy.
I'm gonna pick Lexana Troy. That's right.
Whoa.
Mud baths and all. Lexana Troy.
Oh my goodness.
She's
Yeah.
She's gonna irritate the heck out of you. You want her off your ship, but she's gonna be entertaining while she's there. So, and she's gonna annoy her daughter.
That's pretty good.
What about you, Cal?
That's pretty good. Mine is the outrageous Okano.
Okay.
No. Can I say Ensign Road? Is that okay?
You know what? She came into my head too. Yeah.
I mean, she was essentially, recurring cast.
But she was only in a handful of episodes.
In the last 2 seasons, but yeah, I think Ensign Rowe.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's the existence of, well, this isn't true, but like the vitality of the character is usurped by the entirety of the series DS9.
Yeah.
But maybe there wouldn't have been a DS9 without that character.
Possibly.
To say like, wow, this is an interesting character, an interesting race, an interesting history for them, and so let's zoom in on that and get DS9. And I mean, Michelle Forbes, it's just fantastic. I'm about due for another BSG reboot watch, I think, and I can't wait to get to the Pegasus episodes where she's just great in that too. So
she's good in that too.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then they brought her back for Picard, and they killed her within 1 episode.
Right,
so that's great.
I'm trying to be positive, but okay. You want to bring us down?
No,
I guess that's okay.
I just mean like if you're gonna bring her back, then like don't kill her in the same episode you bring her back in.
Yeah. Let's bring back.
You can kill her if you really,
Guess
really
who didn't?
want to.
Guess who didn't die?
Who?
Tuvok.
Right.
Did Moriarty die? Anyway, all the female characters died. What's up with that? Oh,
Yeah.
it's Ro. Ah!
Right.
Hey, Shelby. Oh my God.
I know. I noticed that too.
What the hell?
Yeah, that's not great.
No.
But
Well, anyway,
anyways,
Shelby
sorry.
had it coming.
I guess I brought it down.
If you're going to rename, first of all, why'd they rename the Titan? But if you're going to rename the Titan, it should be like the Shaw, right? Or the Shelby.
Oh, yeah. But they had to name.
Can you imagine if Riker went back to active duty and he had to command the USS Shelby?
Oh my gosh.
Just every day he's like, "Ugh. How do I die heroically so I can get a bigger, better ship? Hadn't put my name on it. She won. All right. Well, that's, I think that's it. Unless you guys have anything else to say about Picard this episode, Picard season 3, or Picard the entire series.
I just think, get the team, get the dream team, the TNG crew, get them all together, working together earlier on, I think.
Oh, if you did it again.
Yeah, I guess I wish they had done that.
Do you think there's a hole in the schedule now that Picard is gone? And I don't mean just in terms of like how many shows are on. Do you think that we need like a show that is primarily like, hey, I like that guy. The nostalgia feel-good show.
I feel like we kind of have that with Lower Decks because there's, in some ways, but maybe that's it's true. Different. That's just references. That's different. I don't know. Maybe. I think, I can't remember if it was you and I who were talking about the show or like, are they going to, now that, I feel like most people feel like season 3 went really well. Like, are they going to look at bringing other, like
Voyager season 8,
right, or DS9 or something like that? Are they going to look at doing that?
At
Enterprise.
This point,
no, they won't do that. But
we could still get there, and the best part is, they're all around still.
I know.
You could do Enterprise season. Well, you'd have to go like season 10. I was gonna say season 5, but like, just say, oh, it's been 10 years. They all look so good, and then like just do like the further adventures of the NX-01. If Jolene Blaylock wants to come back, that'd be great. If she doesn't want to do it, that's okay. We'll some of the character, but like Billingsley would be up for it. The two Brosifs. They'd love to stop doing their podcast and start doing Star Trek again, don't you think?
But they killed what's his name, right?
No, we just retconned that.
Okay, please retcon
Who cares?
that. I was mad about
Everybody
that.
would want you to do that anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
No, but I think that if this whole experiment goes long enough and there isn't some streaming crash and the writers' strike doesn't go on forever, the window of the great eye of Sauron fandom will hit Enterprise eventually, and we will be ready to look at that again. But I think that my personal thought is, if this Section 31 thing works out, and like I said, if Star Trek continues to keep going so strong, we are going to revisit DS9. That is going to happen. It's just going to happen.
Sure.
And so, is that best served by a sequel series? Is that best served by a movie? I don't know.
I don't know either.
It's interesting to bring the changelings back in such a big way, and obviously, life is what it is. Missing our, most famous changeling actor, and even the other changeling actress, we don't have either.
Right.
They can change their faces. I guess it doesn't really matter, but having Odo look like somebody else just wouldn't really, ironically, be very satisfying.
Right.
But I think that there's a lot of, not picked up plot threads from DS9. So maybe do that. Ella, while we're talking about it, anything that you'd like to see, in the future of the franchise going forward?
I want new stuff. I love a cameo. I would like something about Deep Space Nine, and I was like, I love Deep Space Nine. I hope they don't touch it for a long time. I want
it's been a while.
Academy. I want the new stuff.
Yeah.
I agree, Ella.
Yeah, I love a Tom Paris commemorative plate, but I would love a character I don't even know NFT. No, not that.
Wow.
Well, I think with that, we'll wrap it up for this week and for this block of episodes. Thanks for joining us, listeners. And if you like what you hear, you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter at EISTPOD for updates, and to get subscribe to us here on Twitch, I think is what I'm trying to say. Hit the heart and the bell icon so you know when we are live and broadcasting. And while you're on the internet, go to your listening platform of choice and subscribe to our show. Give us a rating and a review. It really does help us out. And if you like the show, tell a friend about it. Discoverage will return on June 15th for the first episode of the second season of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. We don't know anything specific about it, but of course we have seen the most recent trailer. A lot of shovel face Kirk in that one. A lot more Spock action. There's a
I'm more ready for
clip.
more Spock action.
There's a little clip they released recently of an Ortega's little adventure that's going on there. So
Nice.
looks like more Strange New Worlds action. We'll be back that Thursday of that week, the 15th, to cover that. So join us then. You can follow us on Twitter or Facebook at EISTPOD to get updates and to find out when we are live and broadcasting. In the meantime, you can check out our main show, Enterprising Individuals, at enterprisingindividuals.com. And also, you can find us at enterprisingindividuals.com on the internet. Ella, thanks as always for joining us to talk about Star Trek Picard and remind people where they can find you online.
Thank you. Everyone can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Gondor Gold. No plans to change my handle to a Star Trek theme anytime soon.
Okay.
And follow and buy things from Star Trek Unlimited.
Did you? The most recent scuttlebutt on Rings of Power is that they are going forward with production on season 2 because the scripts are complete, but of course the showrunners won't be there. Like none of the creative staff will be able to be there while they are filming. So
just cut it out. Stop it.
I say stop too.
When you think about these big shows, especially a $1 billion show like this Amazon show, every second they're not doing something, it's like a big pile of money that's on fire. So they're definitely going to make this product. It's time to make the donuts. Whether they're good or not, these donuts are getting made. So,
but see, that's the problem.
It's serving.
Like you're gonna get a lot of burnt donuts.
We just lost Ella.
Did we lose Ella?
Well, it's the end of the show.
I know.
Anyway, follow Ella at Gondor Gold. Check out her and her dad's show, Generations Geek, a great podcast. You can go to generationsgeek.com for more of that. Mika, thanks for joining us. What do you got going on?
Thank you. Yeah, well, we are in the depths of Sailor Moon Supers on Sailor News.
Where's this going? What are we in the depths of?
It's been a long road. It's been a long time. I don't know.
So
it's not.
Ella's gone. We can talk real stuff now.
Stop.
Usagi is she the archer?
Oh my god.
Ami's definitely to pull.
Yes. Ami is to pull.
Oh my god. Is Manako Malcolm? I think Manako's Malcolm.
Oh, I feel a little weird about that. I don't know if I like that.
Who's Trip?
Great question. Who is?
I mean,
what
he's
is
an
Mako?
engineer.
Uh-huh.
And Ami is the brainy smart one.
Yeah.
But not the same person.
Not the same person at all.
No.
Uh-uh.
No. And who's Ray?
Who's Ray and who's Mako?
Maybe Ray is Trip.
Okay.
So who's Ami?
And the trope of doing a Die Hard.
Doing a Die Hard.
Yes.
Like Starship Mine.
Yes.
The
exactly.
5th season episode of TNG.
Yes.
Or the entire 3rd season of Star Trek Picard. You can find Mika and Hana at Mika. Oh, no, you can't.
No, you can't.
You cannot.
No.
All right, well, let us know when you get a new Twitter handle.
Okay, I will.
You can find me at KA1IBAN on Twitter. And, of course, we're at EISTPOD on Twitter. That's it for us. Thanks for listening. Signing off for Aaron, Ella, and Mika saying live long and prosper.